You are listening to the new man beyond the macho jerk and the new age wimp. Your host is men's coach and group facilitator Tripp Lanier. He is joined in the studio by the show's producer, Casey Capshaw.
Have you ever considered that the reason why you never achieve your goals is because you don't really care? Is your life filled with stuff you don't want? And how do you know when it's time to move on from a job, relationship, or even the town you're living in? This week, we begin our discussion with Steve Pavlina, writer of the web's most popular personal development blog. Listen as we talk about how living a safe life is the same as living in a locked box. Welcome to The New Man. Today I have Steve Pavlina on the show. He just finished a book called Personal Development for Smart People, and he also has the most popular personal development website on the planet. Steve, it's an honor to have you on the show. Thanks for coming.
Thanks so much, Tripp. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so I've been poking around your book, and I'm amazed at the story about how you got into personal development. It's a bit of a, well, I'll let you tell. How did you get into personal development?
Well, it started when I was 19 years old. I got on a really bad track in life, and I started shoplifting a lot. I was shoplifting all the time and got so addicted to it, the adrenaline rush of it. I wasn't even stealing because I wanted the stuff I was stealing. I just did it for the thrill of it.
Wow.
And I had to keep escalating it more and more. It became an addiction for me. It was like my drug.
Wow.
I would just go out and steal, and that was like my daily espresso in the morning. A little thrill. And it was pretty sick time for me. I was 19 years old. And I got into a lot of trouble. I got arrested, did community service, kept going, got arrested, did more community service, kept going. And eventually I got arrested for felony grand theft. And I'm sitting in jail for a few days, and I realize that I'm really screwing up badly here and that I really need to change the direction of my life. The problem was I was so entrenched in what I was doing and so entrenched in this addiction. It was filling so many needs for me and filling in a void in my life that it was very difficult for me to let go of it.
Huh.
And I honestly didn't know that I could do that. And I realized that at the time I wasn't the kind of man who could solve all the problems he was facing, but I had the idea that maybe I could grow into the type of man who could solve those problems.
So did you have a clear vision of the guy that you wanted to be at that time?
Not exactly. But for me at the time, it was a path away from pain. I was having so much pain in my life, I realized I can't keep being the same person I am now. I can't keep on this track. It's going to lead to total self-destruction. I'm going to end up in prison.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't have a clear vision of where to go, but I knew I needed to leave where I was.
Now, that's an understatement because there's been lots of guys that have gotten their ass landed in jail, but something really clicked in there for you because personal development became so much more than just something to get away from pain. Is that correct?
Yeah, over time, that's how it was. Initially, my goal was just, I want to live a normal life. I want to be like everyone else. And I really just tried to stay below the radar. After I got over that experience, I tried to live a very plain, vanilla existence. I got a minimum wage job and really just tried to stay off the radar.
Yeah.
I tried to just keep from. It was all about staying out of trouble. That was like my main focus.
All right.
Don't get in trouble. And I wasn't doing anything ambitious. But later in life, that's when I started thinking, well, I've recovered enough that maybe now I should start thinking about what I want to do with my life. And that's where I really started thinking about setting goals. Okay.
And tell me more about setting goals, because some people, have the different takes, but it seems like goal setting was huge for you. Tell me more about that.
It was huge, and I know I have a different take on goal setting than most people in this field talk about. A lot of people talk about setting SMART goals that are specific, measurable, and actionable, and so on. And, getting very specific, and you have this certain structured process for how to set a goal and how to determine if a goal is good and whether it's realistic and you can get it done in a certain period of time. It's very methodical, but it really didn't prove effective for me to try to set goals like that. It's like treating a human as if he's a computer program running some sort of algorithm. Like if you just define this goal in writing, then you're automatically going to achieve it. But I found I had all kinds of written goals that I never achieved, and it seemed like I wanted them, but I just never got my ass in motion to do anything about it. So what worked for me is I just scrapped that old process of setting goals, and I realized I looked at my life and I thought, what goals did I set that I actually achieved? And I started to see a pattern in there. And then comparing that with goals I set that I didn't achieve or that I just lost sight of or got distracted from. And the difference was that the goals I achieved were not necessarily smart goals in the sense that they weren't always specific, they weren't always measurable. Sometimes they were really vague goals, very general, hard to find, something other goal-setting people might trash completely. But what they did for me is that in the moment I thought about them, they inspired me. And they drove me to action just when I thought about them. The more I thought about those goals, the better I felt. So when I set a new goal, if it doesn't change the way I feel right now, in the moment I think about it, not like a year from now in the future when I've achieved it, but in the immediate moment when I set it, if I don't get that feeling, I know it's a bad goal, and I know not even to bother with it.
And so you're actually talking about like it's in your body. It's like you say these words like I'm going to do X, Y, or Z, and it fires you up, or what's the actual quality of that feeling so the guy at home can get that?
Yeah, well, I'll just give you a quick example so you can see how it worked. One of the goals I set, which was really inspiring to me, is even before I started my personal development website in 2004, when I was just beginning with it, I set a goal. And my goal was to create the best personal development website in the world. And that's a pretty vague goal. I had no timeline for it. I had no idea what best really meant. I had only a vague sense of how to do that. I'd never done anything like that before. I didn't even know what the competition was, what other websites were out there. So I couldn't even say what specific features it would have to have. However, despite how bad that goal might seem at first glance, when I thought about it, I got totally inspired. I thought, this is such an awesome goal. I have to do this. I was totally turned on, and articles would just pour out of me, and I just would work long hours to do it, and the time would just fly by, and I was having a great time. I was having fun. I was connecting with people. I was helping people, the goal was just something that totally turned me on.
Wow.
And so the more I thought about it, the more inspired I did, and I got, and the more work I did. And the funny thing is that somewhere along the line, I think I achieved that goal. I mean, it's obviously a very subjective thing.
Yeah.
But I really do feel that according to my own values and ideals, that I have the best personal development website on the internet. And other people have agreed. Now, I don't expect everyone to. I don't need everyone to. The point is not that I've achieved that goal in some objective sense, that, comparing myself to other people. I just don't do that. The point was that was a goal that inspired me and drove me to action, and that it created a result.
And the other part that I'm getting is that a lot of guys, especially, it's New Year's resolution time or something, and it's like, I should do this or I should do that. So that becomes the goal. But if I actually take on that goal, I'm not inspired. I'm actually feel weakened or whatever. But it sounds like a good idea. It sounds noble. But you're saying if it doesn't inspire you, if it doesn't fire you up, then don't do it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, partly this is a process of self-discovery, of figuring out which goals really fire you up and which really don't. And we fall in this pattern of adopting socially conditioned goals we think we're supposed to set. And then when we set them and we start working on them, we realize deep down we just don't care. A good example is, for many years I set a goal in running my business that I wanted to become a millionaire. I thought that would be a really cool goal. I want to have a net worth of $1 million or more. And I worked on that goal. I thought, at least I thought I was working on it. But for some reason, I always got distracted from it, because deep down, and it took me years to admit this to myself, but deep down, I really did not care about being a millionaire. It just did not matter to me. And I realized that having $1 million or not having $1 million was not going to make that much difference in my life, not given the lifestyle I live, because I'm just not that materialistic a person, and I just absolutely abandoned that goal. I thought, I don't even need this. And when I finally let go of it and I started setting more inspiring goals, my wealth went up, but I wasn't really trying to do that. So it's sort of funny that I got some of the results of that goal without actually focusing on it directly.
Interesting. Let me ask you this, because I deal with guys, I coach guys, and I also run into a lot of guys in men's groups and stuff, and they've kind of hit that wall. There's just no inspiration. There's no motivation. They're kind of flat. Things haven't been going right or whatever. But how do you tease out that? Can you go more into how you tease out that motivation, how you find that feeling?
Yeah, one of the things you can do is you want to focus on connecting with what you want in your life, And the challenge there is that you also have to disconnect from what you don't want. A big trap a lot of people get into, men and women alike, is that they find themselves at a point where their life is filled with things they don't really want, things they don't feel connected to, things that don't inspire them. For example, they're living in a city that they really don't like, or they've got a job that they don't feel fulfilled by, or they're in a relationship where they feel stuck. And a really tricky thing that's almost counterintuitive is that if you want to bring more of what you want into your life, you also have to let go of what you don't want, and you have to do that very consciously. So in other words, you have to break off the relationships that's not working. You have to quit the job that isn't fulfilling. Leave the city that you don't like and go live somewhere else. And if you don't shed the things that you don't want to have in your life, you don't have the space really to attract what you do want.
We'll return to the discussion in just a minute. Participate on a live call where I will be interviewed by revolutionary man Jason Gaddis on February 19th at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Go to www.revolutionaryman.com to sign up for this free call, and I'll answer your questions live on a ton of topics. If you can't make the call, you can download it the next day. I look forward to speaking with you. Now, back to the discussion.
If you don't shed the things that you don't want to have in your life, you don't have the space really to attract what you do want.
Wow. I'm just imagining the guy out there that maybe he's even in like in a tough relationship, or he's in that crappy job and it's such a it's such a lousy job market out there. He's listening going, what in the hell? Are you serious? I'm going to leave what I already have behind. I'd rather have this than nothing. But you're saying if we're willing to really have this greatness or what we really want in our life, we have to be willing to actually own that we don't want what's already there and and actually leave it behind. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. As Steven Covey says, go for win-win or no deal. That's the way I think. Too many guys think that compromise is the right solution, that it's better to have a little bit of what I want mixed with a little bit of what I don't want than to risk getting nothing for the chance of having everything I want in my life.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's total nonsense to live that way. I really found that's true. In my own life, I would rather be homeless than you work at a job I don't enjoy.
Do you have any personal kind of anecdotes about where you had to, like, a lot of guys call this like burning the boats, like we're going to sail over there and have this battle and we're going to burn the boat so there's no coming back. But is there a personal story that you have that where you had to like, okay, I'm doing this and I'm saying goodbye to the old thing and totally diving into what I want?
Yeah, I use that analogy myself a lot. I say it's burning the ships. You got to burn the ships behind you once you've landed on that new shore. Right. However, you don't want to burn the food and supplies. So you land with some food and supplies, but you burn the ship. So you have to make this careful distinction between what is your food and supplies that you're going to need versus what is keeping you held to that ship and giving you an escape route. So for example, when I was running a computer game development business for 10 years, and after a while I decided it just didn't inspire me to do that anymore. It was a dream in my 20s, but when I got in my 30s, I just lost interest in it. And I wanted to switch to the field of personal development. Well, I still wanted to retain some of the income. However, from my games business, so I put it into low gear. But that was essentially sounding the death knell for that business because I knew I was going to get out of it. And I basically told everyone, I'm retiring from this field. I'm quitting. I'm going to be shutting down my business, my games business, pretty soon. And I started up my personal development website. For me, that was enough of a commitment. That was burning the ships behind me. I told everyone I'm going this direction. I used to run a popular discussion forum for independent game developers, and I just gave that away. I gave it to some other people to own and operate.
Wow.
So there were a lot of steps I took. I took my business down to such a low gear that I was making maybe about a quarter as much money as I was making before. It was enough to sustain me, but I wasn't really creating, a path of abundance.
Right.
But that was what I needed to move forward. Had I shut down the business completely, immediately, that would have been unnecessary for me. I mean, you need to take it far enough that you're committed and then you're not going to look back. And I never looked back. I always kept moving forward. So I knew I'd had that commitment. And if you have to quit your job to move forward, and a lot of people do, that because that job is not just their food and supplies, that is the ship that's keeping them in the wrong harbor.
Yeah.
In my case, putting my games business in low gear was good enough, and that worked. for other people, your situation's always different. You have to decide what is your ship and what is your food and supplies.
I want to ask you about, my grandfather's generation, maybe some of my father's generation. There was an idea that you picked a career and you did that for life. And I think we inherit an ability to not question our choice or a choice we made years ago. And so what was your process like when you realized, because this sounds like a really kick-ass career, owning a game company and that kind of thing. Did you wake up one morning and be like, shit, this just doesn't inspire me anymore? And was there terror for you? Was it like, I'm stuck here? Or can you describe that process of like turning the corner and being a yes to the fact that you wanted to move on?
I wish it was a corner. It was more of a long, slow curve because it was more of a gradual malaise that developed over time. It was definitely a business that I was inspired to run. I didn't get into it for the wrong reasons. I loved doing it. I started it, I think, when I was 22, 23 years old, and I loved it. I loved working in the field. But eventually I reached the point of saturation where I felt I'd developed many of the games I wanted to do, and I started publishing other people's games, and it started to become more of a grind, and I lost that passion for it. But the way I recognized that is that I found myself being more passionate about other things than my career, than my work. In fact, what would happen is I would make excuses to go to extra personal development seminars or read personal development books on the side, listen to audio programs. That I love doing. And I noticed I'm spending all this time doing personal development on the side, and I'm spending less and less time working on my games business because it just didn't inspire me. Whenever I looked at my games goals, my business goals for the games business, I would think, ugh, this is going to be a lot of work.
Yeah.
I started thinking about my personal development goals. I thought about how cool it would be to work on those things. Cool, this will be an awesome thing to do. And it took me honestly years to really realize what was happening because I'd never been through that process before. That was really my first career running the games business. I started it right out of college.
Sounds like there's a fork in the road where some guys just kind of start to mute their feelings around that. They start to like just accept the fact that the job sucks, right? I'm just hanging in there. But you made a choice to go down the other road, which is towards inspiration. I don't know. There's a part of me that just wants to shake the hell out of some guys and be like, dude, where's that inspired life for you? What does that look like for you? Is there a way to do that, or help me out there?
Yeah, I have a similar feeling sometimes. I tell people, if I could just rip my heart out of my chest and stick it into your chest, you would have such an awesome life.
We just don't need to illustrate that.
Yeah, and by heart, I really mean courage. And the word heart, is really the core of the word courage, cur, or the Latin cor, or the French cœur, which means heart. And, that's the root of the word courage is heart. So one of the things I ask myself, and this I advise anyone to do, is you ask yourself, does this path have a heart? And that's really a quote from Carlos Castaneda. And he says, if you find the path you're on does not have a heart, you need to get off of it because that path is going to kill you.
Let's dive in there. So let's really suss that out. What does that mean? Does the path have a heart? Like, how would I know if my path has heart or not?
For one, you feel it in your chest. It excites you. It causes an emotional reaction. It excites you, but at the same time, it scares you. You'll have this feeling like, wow, that would be an awesome goal to achieve, or that would be an awesome life to live. But honestly, I really don't know if I could pull that off. And you have this sort of this mixed association, like, wow, that'd be great to do it, but you know what? I don't know if I'm up to that. I don't know if I could actually do that. Those are the goals that really inspire me. When I look at a goal and I go, yeah, I could do that. That's kind of an easy one. It's a done deal. There's no heart there. There's no excitement. See, the excitement is like part inspiration and part terror. You have to be somewhat scared of the path you're on, because that's the path that's going to build your courage.
Wow. And I'm just thinking right now, there's so many guys that are playing it safe, and rightfully so. It's scary out there, but you're saying that find that edge, find that thing that really like lights you up. You actually feel it in your chest, and then, but also scares you a little bit. But if I'm scared right now, scared for my family, scared for my future, there's a part like I'm going to find the easiest path possible. How does that add up?
Well, take a look at the word safe. The word safe is both an adjective and a noun, right? As an adjective, it means being free from harm or free from danger, having security. But as a noun, it's an enclosed storage container with a lock on it. Well, I tell people, if you're living the adjective, you're living the noun.
Wow.
going to try to live a safe and secure life, you're in a cage. You're in a lockbox. You're restricting your freedom. And if you let go of the need for security, in the sense of tying your security to something out there, something outside yourself, like I need money, or I need a job, or I need a certain type of relationship. If that is the basis for your security and your self-esteem, you're in a cage.
What does it look like to then step out? Like, let's say I'm out there and I'm like, man, there's no way. I got to have X amount of money coming in a month because I got to make the bills and blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to stay with this, shitball job or whatever. But what does it look like to take a step outside of that? Do you have any kind of a scenario that you could describe?
Yeah, initially it's terrifying, but at the same time, it's thrilling. When I graduated from college, I had no interest in a safe and secure job. I could have gone that route. I had a degree in computer science and a degree in mathematics, and I was at the top of my class. I was doing great, and I had no interest. I just didn't want a job. Instead, I wanted to start my own business because I knew it would be more exciting. And I also knew that was a path that was going to generate more growth. It would be harder. See, you don't need to avoid difficulty in life. Think of it like weight training. If you look at, say, a 40-pound weight, say a 40-pound dumbbell, is that heavy or light? Well, the answer depends on how strong you are. Okay, some guy like Arnold Schwarzenegger will say, this is light. But some newbie guy just going to the gym for the first time who's rather weak is going to think, wow, this is heavy. But if you think of building your courage and building the way you interface with life as a process of progressive training, just like weight training at a gym, okay, you might start with little weights, but then you can progress to bigger and bigger weights. So for me, taking risks because I built my courage to a certain degree is not as hard as it's going to be for someone who's had a safe and secure job for so many years. I mean, for somebody like that, quitting their job is a huge, huge weight to lift.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like some wimpy guy looking at a 100-pound dumbbell and he's like, that's too much for me to do a bicep curl with.
Right.
But for me, I'm just like, quit already. It's like some bodybuilder might go, lift it, curl
right.
it.
Just do it.
It's nothing, But you have to understand that everyone's at a different strength in terms of the courage that they developed, encouraged in terms of their ability to follow that path with the heart and to tolerate a certain amount of uncertainty in their life.
And it sounds like we need to have, if this is in the applicable, in the realm of application, sounds like we need to have a vision of where we're going. It's not just like this sucks, quit. It's more like, where do I want to be? What shore do I want to sail to? And then I'll burn the ship kind of thing. How important is that vision?
It really depends on if you're thinking of life in terms of a training mindset or a destination mindset. There's sometimes where I have goals which are really just about training. Like I will do things just to build my courage. If I find there's something I'm afraid of and I think this is a fear I need to get over and it will make me stronger if I can overcome this fear, then I will go and do it. It's like it's a training process for me. But on the other hand, there are times where now I'm not in training mode. Now I'm maybe in competition mode. So now it's a performance rather than practice.
Wow.
So in that performance mode, it's now I'm thinking, okay, now I have to apply the strength I've already built. And yes, you do get some training benefit from performing. But as any athlete knows, there's a big difference between the training you're going to gain from a real world performance and the training you can gain in practice. Because in practice, you have no audience usually. You can really focus on developing the skills you need. Whereas in real world situations, sometimes the experiences you get are random and they just don't expose all your weaknesses. They don't help you train up. Does that make sense? Think of it just like a professional athlete, like a football player.
Yeah.
What if all they did was play football and that's their training? They're not going to be a very good athlete. Compared to all the different scenarios they'll be able to face in practice and hitting the weight room and going through drills and so on.
There's a lot of guys out there that have lost their job and they're thinking, oh shit, what am I going to do? Some people will look at the glass half empty, right? And some will look at it half full. This path of courage and inspiration, that seems like the high road. So how is this an opportunity for a guy? Does he need to create a vision for himself of how does he start to tap in? I want to help that guy out there that just lost his job and I want him to turn this into the glass half full. How do we do that?
Okay, well, first off, realize that there's a a hidden benefit in going through that situation of losing your job. It's going to make you stronger. There's that saying, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It's very true. I went through a situation many years ago where my games business was going really badly. The first 5 years, I was running it with a totally inept business model, one that just didn't fit the market realities of the time, and I ended up going bankrupt. And then, just racking up tons and tons of debt. Every year I was sinking deeper and deeper into debt and eventually went bankrupt. But you know what? I'm still here. My life didn't end when I went bankrupt. I kept going beyond that. And that experience only made me stronger. It only made me wiser in business. It made me smarter. And it helped me develop my skills in ways that I never would have developed if I hadn't been through that experience. So the first step is realize that if you're jobless right now, if you've lost your job, that's a wonderful thing because it's going to make you stronger. So, getting over that.
Yeah.
Next step is to start thinking about what you really do want. What do you want to experience? And maybe you're not strong enough to get it yet. Maybe that weight you're looking at lifting is a little too heavy, but how can you pick off a piece of it? How can you start developing your skills and your courage in that direction? And what kind of goals inspire you right now? Don't look at the easy goals. Look at the ones that are going to train you up. Look at the ones that you're not sure whether you can lift them or not, but with a little training, you could.
Wow, it just seems like I've got to totally reframe this situation instead of like, oh my God, holy shit, into here we go. This is a gift, first and foremost. This is going to make me stronger. Now it's time for me to get clear about what I really want and how can I start moving towards that? What actually fires me up in the body like we were talking about earlier versus, oh man, I lost my job. Now I've got to I'm going to go to Pizza Hut and try to get a gig there or something like that. I've really got to completely shift my perspective is what you're saying.
Yeah, people on the discussion forums on my website, we have very, very popular discussion forums that get a lot of people posting there every day. Every once in a while, somebody posts and says, I quit my job or I lost my job, I got laid off. There's been a lot of those in the past year. And my response is, congrats. Congratulations. It's awesome. Because I know those people are going through a monstrous growth experience, and they may initially resist it, but that resistance is something you create for yourself. You don't have to resist it. There are a lot of people that lose their jobs and they feel relieved. Yeah. Losing your job is not necessarily a bad thing. It's really all in your mind. It depends on your perspective. You can see it as a huge opportunity, or you might not.
It's the invitation to break out of the safe, right? If we're locked up in the safe, as you said earlier, the noun version, then this is the opportunity that kicks us out. Where if we were comfortable, we probably wouldn't leave on our own.
Yeah, your goal really shouldn't be to live a comfortable, safe, and secure life. You'll have plenty of time for that when you're 6 feet underground. You'll be nice and safe in a nice little box, and nobody's going to bug you except a few insects.
But it sounds like, if I'm ultimately here and I do want to enjoy my life, there's a balance between being freaked out about security or any of those other kinds of things and actually enjoying the challenge. I've got to find my relationship to challenge where it's enjoyable and inspiring for me. Can you say more about that?
Yeah, I mean, a simple way of saying it is grow a pair. but challenge is a good thing. Helen Keller said life is either a daring adventure or nothing. There's really no in between. Either you're going after those challenges and you're growing and you're having an awesome, incredible life. I mean, the challenge is what makes you stronger. Otherwise you're doing the equivalent of going to the gym and lifting the same weight day after day after day. Well, what's the point?
Yeah.
You're not going to get any stronger. How long are you going to stick with the 10-pound dumbbells?
Right.
Progress. Move beyond that. Do something. And even though it's harder to lift the heavier weights, saying that you want to avoid challenge in life and you want to have safety and security is going to the gym and say, I don't want to go to the 15-pound dumbbells. Those are heavy. Mm-hmm. That's going to be harder to lift. Right. Why don't I just stick with these 10-pound ones?
Yeah,
They'll be easier. I can lift these easily. No problem. I can do this all day.
Yeah.
But you're going to be bored to tears after a while. It's exciting to push yourself to have that challenge. Mm-hmm. There's no need to fear it and resist it, even though it's called resistance training. But let the resistance come from life itself that trains you up, not from within you.
So this perspective might be completely left field for the guy out there listening. And you were mentioning your forums earlier where people are talking about losing their jobs. What are some of the stories that you've read about through your readers of what's possible after they've maybe been fired or laid off, or, what have you seen? So there's something else to add up, to stack up against the, oh man, life is really screwed up right now.
Oh, I mean, it's been amazing the kinds of things people have done. One of the things that happens a lot when people lose their jobs is they really start thinking hard about their lives, maybe for the first time in a very long time.
It wakes them up.
And they really, it wakes them up, and they think, they feel a mixture of panic a little bit, but also relief. Because they think, wow, I'm done with that. And almost always they're losing a job they didn't really want. Mm-hmm. And that's often one of the reasons they lost it, is that they were expendable. They either got fired or they got laid off because they weren't really needed. They weren't really doing the kind of work that they were passionate about that they needed to be done. It's not that common that people who are really passionate and really love what they do get fired or laid off. Because, for one, they're awesome to be around, and the boss is going to let that kind of person go last, only if they absolutely have to. Uh-huh. Also, that person's probably doing a lot more work than anyone else. They're creating a ton of value. So, that turning inward and thinking, what am I really passionate about? What would I really like to do? And how could I make this happen? It's not so much you need to focus on the how right away. It's more that you need to focus on the why and ask yourself, what would that be like? What would that kind of life be like? And start feeling that inspiration and that passion again. Because that passion and that excitement is what's going to get you into action.
And that's basically job security, what you're saying. Find that thing that you're passionate about. Find that thing that really just fires you up, because that's an attractor. That's what has people wanting you to be around, because you add energy. You're a contributor to what's happening there. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. I mean, just imagine you're a manager of a bunch of people. Let's say you manage 10 employees, and you have to lay 2 of them off. And you have a few people that are miserable there and a few people that are awesome and passionate and they love what they do and they're productive. Who are you going to fire? Mm-hmm. You're going to let go of the people that don't really fit, that don't belong, the ones that are unproductive, the ones that people don't get along with, the ones that don't seem like they really want to be there.
Excellent.
So you're actually doing them a favor by laying them off.
Yeah.
Because they really don't belong there. They really do need that wake-up call.
Oh, I just love it, because if I've been laid off and I'm sitting here and I'm trying to find a job or something, I'm trying to shift my perspective here. There's now incentive for me to actually dig deep and find out what I'm inspired by, because that's going to make me more attractive versus I don't have time to be inspirational. I've got to just get the job. Like, no, take the time, find out what really fires you up, and because that's going to make you more valuable. Yeah,
inspiration is absolutely critical. I've worked for a time without it, and I've worked for a great time with it. And I could just, after experiencing both sides of that fence, I could never go back to working without inspiration. And it has nothing to do with money or success or fame or anything like that. It's really just about doing what you love to do and doing work that you enjoy. And that is so much more fulfilling than any of the material rewards that come to you. I mean, the work I do now, I love so much. It doesn't matter how much money I make at it or how successful it is from other people's perspective. It's, am I having an impact? Am I doing what I love? Am I happy about it? When you're happy, you're inspiring people in ways you can't even imagine. Just going out and going to the grocery store, you're making people happy just being around them.
Well, that's what I want to share with our listeners out there. For those of you that aren't familiar with Steve's site, he makes a very handsome living by giving away content. This whole idea of being in the flow of what you love and how you can contribute to others has actually delivered a great lifestyle for you. You're actually doing this like to the hilt. Can you say more about that?
Yeah, I started the site in 2004, October 2004, and for the first 6 months, I made a total of $167, which comes out to be around, I was working on full time too, which comes out to be around 17 cents an hour. So it wasn't doing too well financially.
No.
But a couple years later, I was making $40,000 a month from the site, and it was doing wonderfully. And since then, the income's bobbled around all over the place. But partly because I haven't really cared to focus on the income. I'm making much more than I spend, and I'm not really trying to make a certain amount of money with the site.
Yeah.
What I love is that the site largely allows me to just keep doing what I love.
We'll return to the discussion in just a minute. Participate on a live call where I will be interviewed by revolutionary man Jason Gaddis on February 19th at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Go to www.revolutionaryman.com to sign up for this free call, and I'll answer your questions live on a ton of topics. If you can't make the call, you can download it the next day. I look forward to speaking with you. Now, back to the discussion.
The site largely allows me to just keep doing what I love. that income stream, actually various income streams that I built through the site, some affiliate programs, some joint venture deals. I also have a book out, so there's going to be some book royalties coming in over time. But all those different income streams, all they allow me to do is just keep doing what I love and not having to have a job.
How did you get through that time where you'd made only 17 cents an hour up until the point where the cash started rolling in for you? That had to be like, how did you not take that as an indicator that, well, I'm just not socially valuable? Or, how did you get through that dark night?
Well, other people would maybe see that as a time where I was a failure, and they see the point where I started making a lot of money as that's the point where I became a success, or that's the point where the website or the business or whatever became successful. I don't see it that way at all. The way I see it, I was successful the moment I made the decision to do it, because I was so inspired, I just knew I would keep with it. And the truth is that even if the site wasn't making any money today, I would still be doing it. I'd still be trucking along at that 17 cents an hour even 4 years later. I could just see myself doing that.
Wow.
And because I wasn't doing it for the money. I was doing it because it was what I naturally loved to do. I mean, think of the hobbies you do on the side, hobbies you even pay to do, where you have expenses just to do them. Well, it's like asking, how could you keep doing that hobby when you're not making any money at it? Well, you're doing it because you enjoy it. Let's say you like bike riding. You have to buy a bike and a bike helmet and a water bottle and so on. Bike maintenance and things like that. Entry fees for bike races if that's what you're into, and you keep doing that year after year. And you say to somebody, you've never won a bike race. You're losing money at this. How could you keep doing it? And the other person just gives you a weird look. I'm not doing this because for money. I'm doing this because I love it. It's fun.
Right.
And that's the same attitude I have about it. Even though on the surface it's technically my career, it's technically a business, I'm doing it because I love it.
But it came out of that place of what you wanted to do, what you were going to do naturally. This is the thing that you wanted to express in this lifetime, and it just so happens that you get compensated for it.
Yeah, there's a key thing to understand. People say do what you love and the money will follow. That's somewhat accurate, but you have to understand why that's the case. See, what happens when you do what you love and you do it a lot, you get good at it eventually. Hopefully, if you keep working at it, you keep learning at it, and you keep trying. If you love playing the piano, eventually you're going to get somewhat decent at playing. Hopefully, hopefully, assuming you're taking an intelligent approach to keep doing it.
Right.
And you're not just making the same mistakes over and over. Okay, whatever you do, if you do it enough, you're eventually going to get good at it. And then if you get good at it, and you keep doing it, now you're actually able to create some value for other people. Now you have some talent that you can share, that you can use to, share information, teach other people how to do what you're doing, create value. If you're a musician, create music that people will enjoy. Okay? And once you start doing that, once you're creating value for other people, then you can create income from that. So you get a flow, because now people are willing to share their value with you in exchange for the value that you're giving them. Even if you're just giving your value away for free constantly, people will want to give back to you.
Yeah. It seems like we have to have the awareness. It starts with that awareness that we've been talking about most of the show, which is what do I enjoy? What's valuable to me? And then being able to expand that into the we space. Like what's valuable to you? What's valuable to all of us? And just being able to have that awareness first, and then how can this fit in there?
Yeah, really the way to generate a good amount of income is to find your passion and really focus on it and develop it, and then share your passion with other people. Because you sharing your passion, that's what generates value for other people. And what is money? It's simply a medium for exchanging value. So if you're out there generating a lot of value, then you will have the capacity to earn a lot of income. Too many people focus on getting money and making money. I don't think about it that way. I focus on creating value. Because if you focus on the output side, create, and deliver the value, then you're doing exactly what you need to do to generate income.
Seems like a lot of people just don't get that about money. Like money has kind of a tainted quality to it, especially when it comes to things that we're inspired by. Like we don't want to mix money with that. Money with, that's, my music or my art or whatever that may be. But when you frame it in the context of an exchange for value and actually making a contribution to someone else's life, it seems so much better. It sounds like a lot of people just don't get that.
Yeah, the money is not really a big deal for me. It's not something I focus on. It's a fairly low priority in my life. To be totally honest, the truth is that if I really focused on money and that was something really important to me, I could probably be making 5 or 10 times as much money as I'm making right now within a few months, because I would just do different things. There's a lot of things I could do. My website is very, very under monetized relative to my traffic level.
Okay.
But I just don't care. It's like I don't need the money, and I'd rather just focus on giving away the value for free. I don't even have to package it and sell it and do all kinds of spammy looking sales pages to get money from people, to get people to buy. I just want to make it available to as many people as possible and just share what I enjoy doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I always have that option of monetizing it more later if I really want to increase my income. That's fine, but it's not a big priority for me.
Yeah. And you've got a ton of information on there, but you just released the book, Personal Development for Smart People. Help me understand, how does the book differentiate from the site? What had you write this book? Tell me more about it.
Okay, well, the way I think of it is the book is about the roots of personal development, and the website is about the branches. I got this idea that I wanted to write a book about the core fundamental principles behind all successful growth efforts. And I started asking questions like, why is it that we have all these different experts, like health experts and relationship experts and financial experts, career experts, and so on, all telling us these different rules and laws and ideas for how to change our lives and improve our lives? If you're able to read all the good advice out there and try to apply it, your life just becomes overcomplicated. It's impossible to apply all that stuff.
Right.
I thought there's got to be some fundamental core principles of personal development that are universal and that we could use as a simple guiding principle to apply for everything here. And I kept thinking, what is really the core underlying principle here? What can we? I mean, can you think of like a single principle that we can use that will improve our health, improve our relationships, improve our finances, our career, everything, and it applies equally well to any area we're applying it to. And no matter what kind of growth challenge, no matter how weird your situation is, you could always use this single principle, and it would always help. It'll always work. I thought, does such a thing exist? And eventually I came up with an answer, and it's really based on just 3 core fundamental principles, and from them you can derive another 4 principles for a total of 7. But the 3 core principles are just truth, love, and power. And that when we align our lives with those 3 principles, we're pointing in the direction of positive growth, and we're improving. And
is it really that simple? If I read this book, does it have applications? Like, walk me through that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the book is actually half of the book is about the principles themselves. There's 1 chapter for each of the 7 principles. And the most important chapters are the first 3, which are 1 chapter on each of truth, love, and power. And then the second half of the book is all about practical applications. It talks about, okay, now you know what these principles are. Here's how they're already operating in different areas of your life. And there's a chapter for habits, another one for career, for health, for finances, relationships, spiritual growth, and so on.
You're saying, no, focus on these 3 basic things, and from outward, there's other qualities as well. But you got to really do the drills. And
yeah, in basketball, for example, it's all about the fundamentals. I remember when Pat Riley took over the Los Angeles Lakers, one of his goals was that he had everybody on the team focus on just the fundamentals, getting the fundamentals down. And they become a very, very successful team.
The context was that these guys were professionals. The assumption is that they've already got the fundamentals down. And he's like, no, come back to the fundamentals, even if you think you've got it down.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine, teaching Kareem Abdul-Jabbar how to dribble better, or teaching, teaching somebody how to do a better skyhook? I mean, can you imagine that this is, just how to, not even that really, because that's probably a little too fancy, but just focusing on how to shoot, how to pass. How to rebound, just these very simple fundamentals of basketball. If you just focus on getting better and better at that, you can become a dominant team. It's amazing. You don't need all the fancy stuff, the complicated plays and so on. And personal development is the same way. You don't need these complicated PDAs and personal organization systems and your BlackBerry and these complicated software programs. All of that is really unnecessary. If you focus on these core principles of truth, love, and power, they're deceptively simple on the surface, but they can be used in 2 ways. Number 1, to diagnose any problem in your life. So whatever challenge or problem you're facing, you just look at it through the lens of these 3 principles. Ask yourself, what is the truth? Ask yourself, what is it I really want? And ask yourself, which is the most empowering decision? And then, and the second thing is that you can use it to set new goals. which goal. So diagnosing and solving problems is one, but also setting goals. And your goal might be just to solve the problem you diagnosed. And there is what truth do I need to move towards? What new information do I need? What knowledge do I need to have? Who do I need to tell and share that truth with? And then love, what do I need to do to connect with what I want? And how do I need to disconnect from what I don't want? What do I need to shed? And then, lastly, that power element. What actions do I need to take? And how can I build up my discipline, build those progressively trained muscles so that I can get myself into motion?
And I think you also said it earlier, you got to grow a pair. Well, Steve, I appreciate it. Where do we find out more information about you? Tell us about your website, all of that.
Sure. My website is just my own name.com. It's stevepavlina.com. That's STEVEPAVLINA.com. And there's tons of free information on the website. There's about 20 books worth of free content in the form of individual articles, hundreds of free articles on all different kinds of topics. There's 22 podcasts we have right now on all different kinds of topics that are growth related. And we have some very popular discussion forums there too, with thousands of members who are really positive and supportive in helping people on their paths of growth. So you can go there and meet people, ask questions. It's a really wonderful and supportive environment. And aside from the book, which you can get on Amazon for like $16 if you're interested, all the content on the site right now is free. So it's all free available. You don't have to pay a dime for it. Just go and enjoy it and focus on your path of growth.
Steve, thank you so much. You've impacted me personally, just hearing you talk about this, hearing about your path, hearing about these principles, the fundamentals. This is having an awesome impact on me. I'm very appreciative, and I'm so glad you took the time to be on the show to talk to our listeners. Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks, Tripp. It was my pleasure.
Be sure to visit www.thenewmanpodcast.com and let us know what you'd like to hear on The New Man. Thanks for listening.